Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholz. This week I'm bringing you 3 stories from the Pearl Storybook, and today we have our final tale. This is a story about winter, King Winter to be more specific, and how he leaves us with his harvest. This is King Winter's Harvest. King Winter sat upon his iceberg throne, and waving his scepter, a huge icicle called for all the snow fairies and frost fairies to draw near, as he wished to see them. "Tell me, snow fairies," said King Winter, "what have you been doing of late? Have you made anybody happy by your work?"
"Oh, yes," they all said at once. "We had the jolliest time last night putting white dresses on the trees, white spreads over the grasses, white caps on all the fence posts, and making things look so strange that when the children came out in the morning they just shouted and laughed, and soon threw so much snow over each other that they were dressed in white too, and seemed snow fairies like ourselves. They too wanted to make curious canes, castles, and other things with the snow we had done. Sleds were brought out, and when the sleigh bells commenced their music, it seemed that everybody was made glad by our work."
"Well done," said King Winter. "Now, away to your work again." In a twinkling, the snow fairies were up in a purple cloud boat, throwing a shower of snowflake kisses down to King Winter to thank him for giving them work to do. "Now, frost fairies," said King Winter, turning to a glittering band who wore some of his own jewels. "What have you done to make anybody glad?"
"We've made pictures upon the windows and hung your jewels upon the trees for the people to look at and covered the skating ponds," said Jack Frost, the leader. "That is good," said King Winter. "You and the snow fairies seem to be making the world glad now, but pretty soon we must leave the work, and the good sunbeams will put our things away. They will hide the snowballs and crack the skating ponds so that the ice may float downstream. Now I would like to make something that will keep long after we are gone away. Queen Summer is gone, but her harvest of hay and grain is in the barns. Queen Autumn is gone, but her harvest of apples and potatoes is in the cellar. Now I want to leave a harvest too." "But the sunbeams are away most of the time now," said Jack Frost. "Can anything grow without them?"
"My harvest will grow best without them," said King Winter. "And I'll just hang up a thick cloud curtain and ask them to play upon the other side while my harvest grows. Mr. North Wind will help, and if you frost fairies do your liveliest work, my harvest will soon be ready." North Wind soon came with bags of cold air, which he scattered hither and thither, while the frost fairies carried it into every track and corner, wondering all the while what the harvest would be. But after 2 days' work they found out. For horses were hitched to sleds, and men started for the lakes and rivers, saying, "The ice is frozen so thick that it is a fine time to fill the ice houses." Saws and poles were carried along, and soon huge blocks of ice were finding places upon the sleds ready for a ride to some ice house, where they would be packed so securely in sawdust that King Winter's harvest would keep through the very hottest weather. "The ice men can play that they are we," said a frost fairy, "scattering cold all about to make people glad." And that is King Winter's Harvest, the story of how King Winter makes sure that we have ice all year round. This is Dan Scholz of the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Next week, I'll be back with 3 new stories of Christmas, leading into the Christmas holiday, the break afterwards, which will be the most popular stories from 2021, and then a new chapter in 2022 of the Folktale Project, with longer stories that will take us more time to get through, but
in the end, I think we'll all find them just absolutely wonderful. And we're going to discover them together. As always, thank you all so much for listening.